Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us on Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguilera. Let's start with security matters. President Muhammadu Buhari is tasking the Nigerian Armed Forces to be more proactive and decisive in the battle against terrorism, insurgency, and other heinous crimes towards achieving sustainable peace and security in troubled areas of the country. This was while engaging the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, on the achievements, challenges and setbacks regarding the recent military operations by the Army in parts of the country. Let's hear from State House correspondent Adamu Sambo.
The Army Chief, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, who just returned from a military operation in Katsina State, met President Muhammadu Buhari behind closed doors. Exercise Sahel Sanity in the Northwest featured prominently at the meeting.
Where they are fully supporting the already ongoing Operation Hadarin Daji, which is a joint operation of all the armed forces and the security agencies. This collective effort is making tremendous progress in the area of bringing about normalcy. We had a series of killings, kidnappings, cattle rustling, and of course the threat to prevent the people to go to their farms and farm this season. The security situation, I assure you, is under control. The troops, they are doing very well. I commend them for the efforts they've put in so far, and we are sure that this will be sustained, throughout this farming season and beyond, to ensure that our country is safe.
The progress made notwithstanding, President Muhammadu Buhari insists that sanity must be fully restored in the nation's security situation and the people of Nigeria adequately protected to pursue their legitimate businesses. General Buratai, however, said intelligence sharing and synergy between the law enforcement agencies and the civil populace are critical towards achieving the objectives.
These bandits are not outside Nigeria. They are not from foreign land. These terrorists, 99% of them are all Nigerians. These kidnappers, I would even say 100% of them are Nigerians. So it's not just the military tax and the security agencies tax to end the insecurity in this country. It's only when it goes bad that we are calling, but everybody has a responsibility. There are setbacks that can always occur in such type of military operations or any security agency operation. But that does not mean incapacity to handle it. That does not mean incompetence to handle it. As long as the efforts are there and they are visible, then the support of all and sundry will be required, to address this squarely.
The Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, attended the meeting that lasted more than 1 hour. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And to legislative affairs, the acting managing director of NDDC, Professor Daniel Pandey, momentarily collapsed while testifying at the investigative hearing by the House Committee on NDDC. The acting MD was responding to questions concerning payments to contractors, which the committee alleged were not captured in the 2019 approved budget. Following this development, sitting was suspended for 30 minutes. The chairman of the committee, Representative Olubunmi Ojo, earlier at the commencement of the sitting Monday, recused himself from the hearing due to what he calls allegations leveled against him of being on a mission of vengeance. He also stressed the commitment of House of Representatives to President Buhari's anti-graft war, which he added was why the House made provisions for forensic audit of NDDC. Minister of State, Niger Delta Affairs, Godswill Akpabio, is also on ground to make submissions submissions. The House Committee is investigating allegations of financial malfeasance and other activities at the NDDC. All right, now let's join our National Assembly correspondent, Lami Ali, to give us the latest update on the proceedings of the sitting by the House Committee on NDDC. Lami, if you can hear me, what's the latest you can tell us right now?
Well, the sitting has resumed, and when the sitting resumed, the Speaker of the House of Representatives joined in.
Okay, we apologize for the loss of signal there. If we can reconnect, we'll definitely rejoin Lami. But let's look at other issues. Guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria who were impressed with the anti-corruption crusade of the Buhari administration have advocated the establishment of a central database for all recovered assets. They're optimistic that this will encourage synergy in assets recovery to further strengthen the anti-graft war. Lydia Sampson reports.
Nigeria under the present administration is winning the fight against corruption is not in doubt. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria, however, agree that the perceived gaps in management of recovered assets must be addressed to make the fight holistic. They call for a framework to separate management of recovered assets from the institutions in charge of recovering them to avoid mismanagement.
This central database, I can tell you, it has been established in the Office of the Attorney General just before we go for the COVID lockdown, because the regulation was passed in 2019. So part of the things that are contained in the regulation is the establishment of a central database. And that central database was established, and we issued, in the regulation, there are timelines within which each agency will submit data to that central database. Unfortunately, it was not possible because of the COVID.
There's distinction between when it is an interim forfeiture and when it's final forfeiture. Now, most time there is this general hype in the press about the figure that has been recovered without making a distinction between when it's an interim forfeiture or when it is final. And there's always a huge difference by the time it gets to final. So you could have two different scenarios and two different figures at the end of the day.
They also stress the need for institutionalizing the asset recovery regime in line with United Nations Convention to which Nigeria is a signatory.
President Buhari have done on the asset recovery globally. And we are very grateful, particularly in the cooperation with the Ministry of Justice, civil society. The first time in history in this country and internationally, we were invited as civil society to participate in the Abacha II negotiation. That was the negotiation between the Nigerian and the Swiss government. It has never happened in the world for civil society to participate.
The guests are hopeful Nigeria's asset recovery efforts will earn the nation an enviable seat in the Financial Action Task Force, the international body spearheading the repatriation of stolen assets. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
All right, let's rejoin our National Assembly correspondent, Lami Ali. She was about giving us an update on the proceedings. Lami Ali?
Yes, you may recall that this investigation commenced on the 15th of July, and it was a two-day investigative hearing. But due to some developments, the sitting had to be extended to Friday to allow interested or key stakeholders come in and make submissions. That's specifically the acting managing director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, that is Professor Daniel Ponde, and the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Pabio, which is the supervising ministry. Now, on Friday, there was a slight altercation because the acting managing director of NDDC walked out on the hearing. And so the investigative hearing, or the committee rather, decided to summon both the chairman of the commission and the minister of the supervising ministry, Senator Pabio, to appear today, making it a 4-day hearing. Now, when sitting commenced today, the NDDC acting managing director was being questioned, but as the Speaker House of Representatives said when he came in much later during the hearing, he was probably under the weather and he collapsed. He was taken out and the sitting had to be adjourned for 30 minutes, and now it has resumed. The minister is at the moment making his own submissions before the committee. He corroborated what the acting managing director had said earlier during his submissions, that the current management of the NDDC did not award any contract since it came on board. The minister went on to say that all the payments that were made by the interim management committee, that is the current interim management committee, were below the threshold of approval from his ministry. So that was why most of the payments were made without recourse to his office.
All right, thank you very much, Lami, for that update there. Definitely, we'll get in contact with you for more details, and we'll definitely keep you, our viewer, updated on the latest development. Thank you, Lami. All right, let's look at still on the anti-graft war. National Youth Council of Nigeria said the Buhari administration is winning the war against corruption. President of the Youth Council, Solomon Adodo, led youths in a solidarity rally in Abuja, the nation's capital, to demonstrate the support in the fight against corruption so far. President of NYCN, Solomon Adodo, wants the administration to remain steadfast for the sake of the desired development and better future of the nation's generation.
Today, amongst other things, the country has recovered a lot of monies looted from our common treasury, and properties acquired through corruption have also been retrieved and brought back to the nation. We have also been saved from the criminal nightmare of the P&ID scam that would have led our nation to lose a whopping sum of $9.8 billion. All this was by the focus of your good government, President Muhammadu Buhari, especially through the efforts of your patriotic and loyal Attorney General of the Federation and Minister for Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami.
Let's look at electoral matters. The Independent National Electoral Commission has advised political parties and candidates in Edo State to be civil in their campaigns for the governorship election. INEC National Commissioner for Information, Festus Okoye, gave the advice in an interview with Mia Ogidi.
Our advice is that political parties campaigning in Edo State, campaigns must be based on principle. Campaigns must be based on the manifesto and programs of political parties. Campaigns must be ideological in nature, and campaigns must address the issues of governance that people want to hear, rather than using abusive and intemperate language or innuendos that have the tendency or capability of inciting ethnic unrest. And also to make sure that in all their rallies, in all their gatherings, they observe all the protocols and guidelines issued by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, as well as those issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
INEC's National Commissioner for Information there speaking on INEC's guidelines for political parties. Lagos is our first port of call as we join Ruth, my namesake, to guide us on more reports. Ruth?
Thank you, Ruth. Now, with the hope that the impending closure of the third mainland bridge will force many Lagosians to embrace water transportation, which also provides easy accessibility to the island, the state government, through its safety and emergency agencies, has reviewed this mode of transportation to ensure that all COVID-19 safety protocols are available to protect passengers. Abolore Ogbara reports.
As preparations for the partial closure of the Third Mainland Bridge reach fever pitch, Lagos State government has mapped out plans to ensure that water transportation becomes a viable alternative for its teeming commuters during the closure. Against this backdrop, some agencies embarked on a safety assessment exercise of the waterways. During the assignment, some defaulters were arrested for not wearing face masks and life jackets. The general manager, Lagos State Waterways Authority, LASWA, Oluwadamilola Emmanuel, said the partial closure of the Third Mainland Bridge makes traffic decongestion imperative.
The reason why we're doing this is to ensure that all safety measures are in place, because we don't want to have to cure. Instead, we want to prevent any emergency or any accident. So that's why we're collaborating, Lagos State Waterways Authority, with LASEMA and also the Safety Commission.
We'll ensure that everyone is wearing a mask. It would ensure that everyone wears a life jacket. It would ensure that there's also appropriate social distancing.
Director General, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, Olufemi Oke Osoyintolu, stated that henceforth sanctions await any defaulter caught flouting safety rules on the waterways.
We will have safety marshals on the ground. We have emergency response people on the ground. We have our ambulance on the ground. Our heavy and sophisticated equipment will be put on the Third Mainland and on our waterways.
The agencies urged Lagos residents to take advantage of water transportation in the coming months to avoid getting caught in traffic. In Lagos, Abolore Ogbara, NTA News.
To the judiciary, the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has adjourned ruling to the 28th of July 2020 on the bail applications of the 10 suspected sea pirates standing trial for hijacking a fishing vessel at the Gulf of Guinea. Justice Ayokunle Faji gave the order after submissions of counsels to the case. Tunde Saiki reports.
The trial of the 10 alleged sea pirates was conducted under strict adherence to social distancing rule of not more than 20 persons wearing face masks in the courtroom. The suspects all pleaded not guilty to the charges. On applications for bail of all the defendants, the three counsels, Omoniyi Aruwayo, Joe Nwokedi, and Monday Mawa, argued that since investigations have been concluded, the defendants cannot tamper with the evidence and that they are presumed innocent as well as not having any criminal records. They also argued that the criminal information against the defendants did not disclose any cogent grounds sufficient to detain them, adding that the alleged offences are bailable since they carry a 15-year jail term if found guilty. The prosecution counsel, Kehinde Bode-Ayeni, filed a 14-page counter-affidavit and a written address urging the court to refuse the bail applications and give the case an accelerated hearing. Justice Ayokunle Faji then adjourned to the 28th July 2020 for ruling on the application. It could be recalled that the accused persons were alleged to have, sometimes in May this year, while armed with weapons, hijacked a fishing vessel on the international waters at Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, thereby violating Section 3 of Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Act 2019. They were arrested by the Nigerian Navy officers on board ship NNS Nguru in Lagos. Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
The National Arts Theatre is a symbolic monument for performing arts and other forms of entertainment in Nigeria. Following years of neglect, the theatre lost its glory. It was therefore a revolutionary move when the Bankers Committee, under the supervision of the Central Bank of Nigeria, took over the management of the historic asset for rehabilitation. Abolade Salami reports on the past, present, and future of the center.
Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, takes pride in its artistry and cultural diversity. It was to further elevate performing arts among nations of the continent that the National Arts Theatre was conceived and constructed in 1976. A year after its inauguration, the magnificent structure hosted Africa's best and finest, who converged on Lagos for the epic Festac 77. The beauty of the auditorium was complemented by local and foreign performance, as well as teeming audiences. Photo of the Coliseum circulated in the mass media long after the festival. However, as the years went by, its beauty began to fade, just as attendance diminished, until it became just a visible memory.
National Theatre has remained what it was in the late 80s till now. Nobody has put a kobo to maintain this place, this iconic facility. Nobody has done anything about it. And suddenly something very marvelous is coming to happen in our time, where National Theatre is going to be taken to a new height. What could be better than this? Nothing could be better than this.
Resuscitating the National Arts Theatre has been the dream of successive administrations. Although proposals and efforts were made towards achieving this plan, none restored the dignity of the edifice. For a lasting solution, the present administration has taken the bull by the horn.
This public-private partnership is a win-win for all. It restores this iconic edifice to its glory days, which we would have been able to do on our own, and it develops the land that has been lying fallow over 4 decades.
Towards the realization of this objective, the CBN and Backers Committee intend to support this venture for the redevelopment and transformation of this National Arts Theatre with over 25 billion naira of its initial funding.
Going by the blueprint, the National Arts Theatre will be relaunched in 18 months. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
We have more stories on Nationwide after this break. Don't go away.
ICPC and NTA say you can help Nigeria to flatten the curve on COVID-19, just as you can help flatten the curve on corruption. Follow transparency, accountability, and integrity just as you follow health guidelines. Stay home with integrity and maintain your distance from corruption, just as you stay away from COVID-19 by maintaining social distance. Report every act of corruption to ICPC just as you report COVID-19 to NDDC. Stay away from corruption, stay safe from COVID-19. Report any act of corruption to ICPC on toll-free number 0800-2255-4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
The number of the COVID-19 cases in Nigeria is increasing daily, with many more tests ongoing. The battle of testing, isolating, treating, and attending to the affected persons rests heavily on the shoulders of our health workers, constantly putting their lives on the line and at risk to contain this virus, save and protect the lives of millions of Nigerians. To these health workers, we at the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, on behalf of millions of Nigerians, say a big thank you for all that you have done and are doing. To the security agencies enforcing the lockdown and every other frontliner, we say thank you for putting your lives on the line to save ours. There is no amount of words that can quantify our gratitude. Thank you. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's bring you latest update on COVID-19. The number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Nigeria is now 36,663, following the announcement of 556 new cases by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control last night. Out of the 556 new cases, Edo State recorded the daily highest of 104 cases, followed by Lagos with 97 cases and the FCT with 70 cases. Benue State has 66 new cases, 61 in Oyo, 38 in Kaduna, 28 in Plateau, 19 in Osun and 14 in Akwa Ibom. Rivers, Katsina and Ondo states recorded 13 new cases each, while Ogun has 6, Kano 5, Nasarawa 4, Gombe and Ekiti 2 each, and 1 confirmed case in Borno State. Lagos State now has 13,438 confirmed cases, followed by FCT with 3,027 cases, while Oyo is third on the chart with 2,167 cases. Out of the current 36,663 confirmed cases in Nigeria, 15,105 patients who recovered have been discharged, with the death toll now 789. Talking education, the directive given by the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board that Nigerian universities should commence 2020 admission from 21st of August. The Director of Public Affairs of the board was early on NTA's Panorama to speak on the guidelines for the exercise. Here's an excerpt.
Well, what we have issued is a guideline to tertiary institutions. And in exercise of our powers as a regulator, we ought to give a direction on how admission exercise should be conducted for the year. And the universities, polytechnic colleges, what I mean is the Senate of the University, councils of the polytechnic and colleges of education, in exercise of their power to conduct admission, we now decide on how to go about it. For instance, if a university has not finished its session or is far behind, it may decide not to conduct admission for that year, for that period of time. But many of them will decide to say, okay, let us do this admission and bank it, pending when we finish a semester or a session. What I'm trying to say in essence that it also depends on how the universities, polytechnic or college education wants to go about it. But what we've said is that admissions will start in earnest by 21st of August for those who feel that they are ready to start.
All right, the Director of Public Affairs of JAM there speaking on the guidelines for admission. Let's head to Jos Network Center as we join Felicia. She has more reports on Nationwide.
Thank you, Ruth. Welcome to Jos. To ease the socio-economic effects of coronavirus pandemic, the Plateau State Executive Council has approved a slash of about half the total size of the 2020 budget, which was signed into law in December 2019. This and other resolutions were reached at the extraordinary session of the State Executive Council meeting, as disclosed by the Commissioner for Information and Communication, Dan Manjang. Priscilla Grumnan reports.
The Council met to brainstorm on the adoption of best strategies to enhance economic stability in the state following the effect of the COVID-19 global pandemic. Commissioner for Information and Communication, Dan Manjang, said the slash in the 2020 budget was informed by current realities with a view to mitigating the socio-economic impact posed by the pandemic.
ESCO had to now scale down the budget to 99,167,967,966. The recurrent component of the budget is 22.9 billion. And out of this 22.9 billion, 6.63 billion is earmarked for COVID-19 related expenditure. Now, the capital component of the budget is 22.9 billion, out of which 4.62 billion is earmarked for COVID-related capital expenditure.
The Council, through the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Nimkom Lar, also gave an update on the fight against COVID-19 in the state, saying that the coronavirus has spread to 14 local government areas of the state, with Jos North recording the highest number of infections, followed by Jos South local government area. Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
Construction work is ongoing at the National Agency for Biotechnology Development Center, Lantang, which, when completed, will serve as Center of Excellence for researchers in crop and soil development. This was disclosed by member representing Lantang North and South in the House of Representatives, Benny Lar, when she took an inspection visit to the center and thereafter presented palliative to her constituency. Yildik and Ladi reports.
The member, who is also chairman House Committee on Science and Technology, explained that the visit is to look at the level of work done in the center. When completed, will empower farmers by providing seedlings and fertilizers, as well as study the growth of crop and the nature of soil to boost farming activity. She applauded the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology for efforts geared towards providing scientific solutions to homemade indigenous innovations and solutions in tackling issues of biotechnology.
NABDA has developed test kits, and I'm hoping that this molecular lab, by the time it's completed, will be an extension of test kits development here in Plateau State. And we have a tissue culture lab here, which very soon will be equipped enough so that we can test for the coronavirus testing right here in Langtang.
After the inspection, Benilard proceeded to present palliative to members of our constituency, who are mainly farmers, to boost farming activities and also cushion the effect of coronavirus pandemic on the people.
We need intervention all over. So you're coming at this time, it's very, very welcoming.
Through this farm input, the season, which is the rainy season, can give us more yield.
She has gone extra mile to see that Darab women were not left behind.
Items presented are 1,200 bags of fertilizers, 200 bags of rice, hand sanitizers, beds for isolation center in the locality. In Jos, Yildik Yanang Danladi, NTA News.
You are still watching Nationwide. More stories as we rejoin Ruth in Abuja.
Thanks, Felicia. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, has reaffirmed government's commitment to ensure that no state is left behind in its intervention programs during this COVID-19 pandemic. This was when Governor of Gombe State, Muhammadu Inwa Yahya, paid a visit to the ministry to reel out some of the challenges faced by the state in the area of social development of the Northeast, especially in Gombe State. The governor also made a request that farmers are included in the ongoing distribution of fertilizers.
We are joining hands in order to provide the ground on which a lot of people will engage through social intervention and through the support to small and medium scale enterprises, so that our people can now key into the programs of the federal government and engage and re-engage those that are down the ladder, so that together we can move in tandem and change the tides and fortunes of the country, especially post-COVID period.
So we must work together with the state government to see that we take all these meaningful interventions to their citizens, and we are really committed to doing that. In the area of even the social investment programs, we have many programs in that, and also in the area of disaster mitigation, preparedness and response, as well as in the area of the humanitarian intervention when these disasters happen. Then we're going to work together.
The minister also assured the governor that the ministry will take immediate action in response to mitigating flood disaster in the state. Again, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, says all mechanisms have been put in place to ensure direct allocation of COVID-19 palliatives and fertilizer to farmers affected by floods across the country. The minister stated this while inspecting warehouses in Gusau, Zamfara State, where the products are kept for onward distribution to beneficiaries. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports.
130,000 vulnerable households in Zamfara State are currently benefiting from the federal government conditional cash transfer of 5,000 naira monthly as COVID-19 lockdown palliative. The Humanitarian Affairs Minister commended Zamfara State Government for providing an enabling environment for the smooth conduct of the exercise. She said already more than 130 trailer loads of grains have been delivered to the state to cushion the effects of COVID-19 lockdown, in addition to other empowerment programs being executed in the state.
This is what the federal government is doing. We've brought these palliatives, and we have also brought other interventions to the state to cushion this effect to support the poor and the vulnerable.
Zamfara State has in recent times been experiencing bandit attacks that resulted in the death and displacement of its citizens, as well as destruction of property worth billions of naira. From Gusau in Zamfara State, Ilyasu Aliyaku, NTA News.
Borno State Government commences remodeling of primary schools in Maiduguri. Let's join Abubakar for latest on that and all the stories on Nationwide. Abubakar.
It's really good to see you, Ruth, and thank you for joining us in Maiduguri. In line with its policy of repositioning the education sector, Borno State Government has restated commitment to remodel existing 76 primary schools in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum stressed commitment of government when he inspected ongoing remodeling work on 3 primary and junior secondary schools selected for the first phase of the project. Mohammed Goni reports.
Goni Damgari Primary and the Junior Secondary School behind railway quarters, Army 1 Primary and Junior Secondary School, as well as Mustafa Umar El-Kanimi Quranic Integrated Model School, are part of 13 schools selected for the first phase of the remodeling work. Governor Babagana Umar, who assessed level and quality of work in the 3 schools, stressed that government has adopted a holistic approach in the ongoing remodeling of schools, which include provision of water and toilet facilities, library, furniture, as well as other necessary requirements. According to him, the state government has also accorded priority to the issue of staffing of primary school to ensure provision of functional education.
The intention of this government is to ensure the complete rehabilitation of the existing 76 primary schools to standard. While there is a need for us to add additional classrooms due to increasing the carrying capacity of such schools, we are ever willing to do so.
Interacting with the school leadership and the committee responsible for the remodeling work in all the schools visited, the governor pledged to address the challenges confronting the institutions, including blocks of classrooms to accommodate more pupils. He further tasked officials handling the project to ensure quality roofing work to avoid blowing up of classes as witnessed in recent times. Education Commissioner Bello Ayuba lauded steps taken by government to remodel the schools as part of efforts to boost the education sector. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Women Committee of State Labour Congress, Borno State Council, has organized a workshop on effect of COVID-19 on women and gender-based violence against women and young girls in the state. Amuna Garba was there for NTA News.
The workshop was deemed necessary, even though it had been postponed several times due to COVID-19 pandemic because of the increasing cases of the pandemic as a result of community transmission, which has heightened recently. Wife of the Borno State Governor, Falmata Zulum, represented by Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Women Affairs, Hawa Mai Musa, who declared the workshop open, said the ministry is always ready to champion the cause of women, more especially on gender-based violence that is becoming prevalent, and raise awareness on community transmission of COVID-19. Chief Medical Director, University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, Professor Ahmed Ahijo, presented a paper on effect of COVID-19 on women, challenges of women and children during COVID-19 era, as well as how it should be managed, while civil rights activist Lucy Yunana focused on gender-based violence.
I call it a pandemic because there's no day that will pass. There's no case of a minor being raped, either a 5-year-old girl or 6-year-old girl.
There are some houses, even they are maltreating their own house girls and other people that are working in their houses. So, in fact, it pains us. Disturb us too much.
Other speakers at the event include NLC State Chairman Bulama Abiso and his counterpart from Trade Union Congress, Babayo Hamman, who equally highlighted the ordeal of women living in IDP camps and enjoined well-meaning individuals to extend their hands to them. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
You're on to Nationwide from Maiduguri. Time now to return to Ruth in Abuja, who has more stories for us on Nationwide. Ruth, it's back to you now.
Thanks, Abubakar. Let's take a pause because we're going on a break. We'll be back shortly.
She cried. She cried in anguish and in pain. She bears the scourge of her grief. She toils in vain for justice and succumbs to silence. He gloats over his malady. Like a beast, he pounces with no remorse. Her cry meant nothing. Her pain feeds her shame. Like an orphan, she is left to grieve in solitude. But no more will she cry in vain. Her adversaries will henceforth bear the brunt of their bestiality. Rape is evil. Rape is a plague, a pandemic of monumental consequences. We must unite and kick it out of our society.
Connect with NTA and stand against rape and rapists. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
The chances of victims surviving COVID-19. A corruption-free society creates opportunities for citizens to thrive and prosper. Build your immunity. Stop corruption now. Report all acts of corruption to ICPC on this toll-free number 0800 22 55 4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
Let us take responsibility. Stay healthy, stay safe, and curb the spread of the virus. Take responsibility. The coronavirus spreads from one person to another. Let us avoid crowd gathering of any kind for any reason. Take responsibility. Avoid traveling from one state to another during these lockdown restrictions. Obey all the rules that are put in place. Take responsibility. Stop spreading fake news and unverified reports about the coronavirus. There is no known cure for COVID-19. Take responsibility. Observe all the measures that can help stop the spread of the virus. Together, we can do this, but only if we take responsibility. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Glad you're still with us. Motorists plying the Ado-Ijan-Kogi Abuja Road in Ado-Ekiti now have a smooth ride over the Ureje Bridge as its rehabilitation has been completed and now open for traffic. Yemi Dalemo reports that the federal government's intervention on the bridge was delivered on time.
Government intervention on the bridge, which was in a state of disrepair and threat to commuters, was completed in 6 weeks instead of the 3 months earlier fixed for its completion. Federal Controller of Works in Ekiti State, Mr. Ishaq Lawal, said the timely completion of the project is a demonstration of the federal government commitment to meeting the urgent needs of Nigerians in various sectors of the economy.
What we have done is to actually see what we can quickly do that we salvage the challenges we are having here. One, that we serve the people's interest, and at the same time we'll have been able to surmount the problem, and I think we have done that. But that is not to say that government will relent. We are going to put a full-fledged bridge here.
This is a kind of a palliative which will solve the problem to at least 90%. Because the federal government is proposing having a standard bridge.
Residents and road users commended the government for saving them from the pains and agony, as well as huge money spent on repair of their vehicles while plying the road.
I appreciate the federal government. We really appreciate them for the job well done.
The bridge was not only fixed for smooth ride, it was also widened, while the former blockade to free flow of water under the bridge was cleared, paving way for easy movement of water, saving residents from annual flooding experienced in the area. From Ado-Ekiti, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
Access and quality water has for long been a major challenge for rural communities in southern Taraba State Senatorial Zone, with many relying mainly on streams and wells. However, the people can now heave a sigh of relief with the supply of 2 drilling equipment by the federal government. Let's hear from Joseph Otson.
Boreholes remain the most common source of providing quality water supply to rural communities and hard-to-reach areas. These motorized drilling machines donated by the federal government are being handled by a project committee to offer free services across the 5 local government areas of Southern Taraba State Senatorial Zone. Deputy Minority Leader at the National Assembly, who is the senator representing the zone, Emmanuel Boacha, is delighted that poor communities of the area are bailed out of huge costs of constructing industrial boreholes and stand a chance of improved health with quality water supply.
Every community in the south will now benefit from free service of this borehole because it's procured by the federal government for the benefit of these people in Southern Senatorial District.
Apart from water supply, there are ongoing road projects facilitated by the senator going on in the area. In Maraba, Donga local government, where Senator Boacha and other federal government officials inspected, drainage channels have been constructed and sand filling is presently going on. From Donga, Joseph Sound Otsen, NTA News.
And talking politics, over 2,500 delegates are participating in the ongoing APC governorship primary election in Edo State. Accredited delegates are eager to elect their preferred candidate from the 11 aspirants. Olubukola Aduo brings us an update on the ongoing primaries.
The atmosphere at the Dome venue of the primary election is calm and peaceful. Ballot boxes are provided for delegates from the 18 local government areas of the state to cast their votes for the emergence of APC candidates in the October 10 governorship election in the state. Delegate seats are arranged to maintain social distancing in compliance with COVID-19 protocols, while provision was made for hand washing with soap and water. Although accreditation and voting did not commence as scheduled, party and INEC officials were on ground with adequate election materials and also to monitor the exercise.
The process was very, very fast, and the mode of election is free and fair.
The emphasis is on transparency and equity, because every individual that had been accredited here would have the opportunity to be seen when voting.
Well, the entire setting looks good, from the point of accreditation to voting.
Chairman Ondo State APC governorship primary election, Governor Yaya Bello of Kogi State, said equal opportunity will be accorded all aspirants in accordance with the Electoral Act 2010 as amended.
Everything is going on very smoothly. We are very ready. The delegates are ready. The aspirants are ready. We, the committee members, are ready. The secretariat is ready, and all of us.
As at the time of filing this report, names of 12 aspirants are said to be on the ballot paper. In Akure, Doris Ulumoko, NTA News.
Incorporated trustee of Global Integrity Crusade Network has filed a suit of 2 billion naira against Sahara Reporters, Vanguard Media Limited, and 2 others before the Federal High Court, Abuja, over an alleged defamatory publication made against the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. In the suit for the enforcement of fundamental human rights, the group, which joined Omoyele Showari and Kabiru Akingbolu as other defendants, is praying the court to compel the defendants to pay the sum of 2 billion naira to the Minister of Justice as compensation for the trauma, emotional stress, damage or injury caused the minister due to the fake news and blackmail published from the 10th to the 15th of this month. The plaintiff, which claimed to have instituted the court action on behalf of the Minister of Justice, is also praying for an order of perpetual injunction restraining the respondents or their agents from further publishing articles capable of causing damage or injury to the Attorney General of the Federation. The group equally applied for an order to directing the defendants to retract all the libellous publications against the AGF and to equally issue a public apology on the platforms used in publishing the fake news.
We want Nigerians to know that the AGF should not be distracted. He cannot even be distracted from the anti-corruption war that he's fighting with Mr. President. He must fight it to the end, no matter whose horse is God. We want to assure him that as a gentleman, a senior advocate of Nigeria, he need not jump into the murky waters with Showore and co. We are civil activists, we are human rights advocates. That is why we are here.
No date has yet been fixed for the hearing. He's young, intelligent, lovable, and very easygoing. He's the first child of his parents. Like most children his age, he dreams of becoming a medical doctor. But a sudden dreadful incident is not only threatening his dream, but also his life. Momso Damian Dati will unravel this mystery.
Charming smiles of a happy family, Abdulaziz Haruna, his wife and children, all looking good and hopeful. His first son, Iman, is an exceptional child. At 12, he's already taking responsibility as the big brother. Loving, cheerful, intelligent, and full of life with so many prospects lying ahead for him. All looks beautiful and rosy. Suddenly, the story changed. Fears are now in the eyes of the entire family. Tears for an African man may indicate a sign of weakness and can be so embarrassing, except in very rare occasions where powerful emotions take over. That is the case with Abdulaziz and his family, as tears drop in open abandon to relieve anguish and great fear for the unknown.
No matter how long you live on this world, you go. The death is inevitable. But what pays me for him is too young. The experience of a first child to his father, you know what it means. It's my closest child, discuss, like mate. Never expected this.
We do see these things on television elsewhere. We just keep praying for those people and wish it never comes to us. So this came to us as a shock. It's very depressing. I know how we've been trying to put my brother together. He used to be very equally, he used to be almost my size. Yes, he's just been so trimmed down because of this whole thing.
Don't my daddy and not crying.
It all started in 2018 with a fever and high temperature.
I was having a teacher's warning and severe head pain. I was diagnosed of kidney failure.
He was very healthy, very, very healthy. If you see his pictures, you won't believe. All of a sudden, well, this happens. We were admitted on the referral letter. It was recommended that he should be dialyzed. But that was the first time I knew about dialysis. And they told me there are some deaths in the kidney that need to be washed for like 3 times weekly. Like in this hospital now, in both children and adults, it's 25,000 per section.
Today, the situation has brought Iman to a level that is life-threatening.
The definite treatment for him is kidney transplant. That's just the possibility, the only option for him. I get the money, I get it done, because the longer it takes, the risk attached to it.
He needs a kidney transplant urgently, and his own mother has volunteered to donate one of her kidneys.
It's a condition of no option. What will I do? It was advised that he got that from a close relation. I actually lost my job. I 2015. And since then, I've been hustling.
Iman wants to actualize his dream of becoming a medical doctor to save lives. Iman wants to live because he's Nigeria's future. Iman has rights as a child and a promising future that must not be cut short for any reason whatsoever. But his own life needs to be saved first, and 10.3 million naira is all that is needed to keep him and his dream alive.
And time to give me money, and you should pray for me for my transplant. to be successful.
Mom so Damien Dati, NTA News.
Let's help Imam live his dream by saving his life. Now, if you wish to assist this child, you can contact the Nigerian Television Authority headquarters, Garki Area 11, here in Abuja for the family. We'll definitely get to them. And that's Nationwide today. To enjoy the rest of your evening, I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.